Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second regulation that we are handling this afternoon. This is the Draft Civil Aviation Meteorological Services for Air Navigation Regulations 2021. We will have our Mr. Winston Geshero, the Chief Meteorological Services Inspector, take us through this part of the regulations. Before we start, I want to draw your attention to the poll section under this on the right-hand side of your screen. We are kindly requesting for your feedback on the conduct of this particular forum that we are hosting, which is the Public Participation Forum on the Draft Civil Aviation Regulations 2021. Kindly let us have your feedback so that we can better serve you in the future forums on public participation. You also have under the questions tab, kindly indicate if you intend to make any oral presentations or give your comments, or kindly request for the stage and you'll be given an opportunity to address the forum that we have at the moment. So we have eaten into some time of the Meteorological Services for Air Navigation Regulations. So I'll take you directly to Mr. Winston Geshero to take us through this set of regulations. Mr. Winston Geshero, kindly accept the tabs button, accept the participate button, and you have the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Winston Geshero, the Chief Met Inspector. Welcome to this session, whereby we'll be discussing the change matrix of the Civil Aviation Meteorological Service for Air Navigation Regulations 2021. This actually was occasioned by the changes in the ICAO Annex 3 in regard to the amendment 79 and 78 and 80, 79 and 80 of the Annex 3. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to display the matrix. So you can go on. This is the change matrix of the Civil Aviation Meteorological for Air Navigation Regulations 2021, whereby the first change that we did was the title of the regulation. Initially, it was reading as Civil Aviation Meteorology Services for Air Navigation Regulation 2018. So we are proposing that this reads the Civil Aviation Meteorological Service for Air Navigation Regulations 2021. This is in line with the ICAO Annex 3. And actually, it's also grammatically wrong to call it Meteorology Services for Air Navigation. Regulation 2, this is interpretation. We introduced a definition, aeronautical telecommunication service, which means telecommunication service provided for any aeronautical purposes. This is better to understand the aeronautical telecommunications stations. Still under interpretation, we had a typo, cruising levels, C was missing. Interpretation still, We also added destination alternate. Destination alternate, an alternate aerodrome at which an aircraft would be able to land shall it become either impossible or inadvisable to land at the aerodrome of intended landing. That's what we had there. There was also a new definition that was added. This actually is in line with the ICAO Amendment 18 of the Annex 3. ICAO Meteorological Information Exchanging Model. This was added. Still on interpretation, there was a new, we inserted Nairobi Flight Information Region on Kenya Volcano Observatory. Initially, it was missing. Initially it was reading within Kenya. So we added the Flight Information Region because Flight Information Region is different from the Kenyan geographical area. Still on interpretation, there was a new definition, Meteorological Authority, which means the authority providing or arranging for the provision of meteorological service for air navigation in Kenya. This is actually in line in the Annex 3. Still on interpretation, we removed international and on behalf of Kenya. So the new definition for that means meteorological service provider means a person designated under this regulation to provide or allege for the provision of meteorological service for air navigation. So we deleted the international and Kenya. There was a new definition, the space weather. A space weather center means a center designated to monitor and provide advisory information on space weather phenomena expected to affect high-frequency radio communication, communication via satellite, GNSS, based navigation and surveillance system, and all pose a radiation risk to aircraft occupants. This is in line with the changes with the Annex 3. Then there was in application, there was some grammatical corrections whereby we deleted S from services, so it will become a meteorological service, not services. So we deleted the S there. So part 2 of the regulation, that is a provision of meteorological service. So we changed it to read a provision on meteorological service for air navigation. So these changes you'll find in all parts. Regulation 4, designation and authorization to provide meteorology service for air navigation. We change meteorology to meteorological service, since that is what provided in the aeronautical meteorological services stations. Excuse me. So still on 4.3, we replaced meteorology with the meteorological service. 4.3 regulation 4 subregulation 3A, we deleted that was actually that sub-regulation was deleted. Regulation 4 3B. We changed prescribed to specified. This is actually in line with the Civil Aviation Act to make it more clearer. Regulation 5, procedures for provision of meteorological service for air navigation. We changed meteorology to meteorological. Regulation 6, obligations of the service provider. This regulation was deleted. Then part 4, the general provision. We also changed the title with the meteorological service. So meteorology was changed with meteorological service. Regulation 8, content of the manual of operation. Search and rescue responsibilities and coordination operation service, that is subdivision 1, was deleted. Regulation 10, objective, determination, and provision of meteorology service. So we changed meteorology service with meteorological service. Regulation 10, subsection 2, we changed as identified by the authority. We changed with any other person as may be identified by the authority. And this was just a clarification whereby introduce the word may be identified by authority. Regulation 10, this personnel qualification and training. We changed World Meteorological Organization to Meteorological Authority. This is in line. We were advised that we could not make reference to World Meteorological Organizations since the Meteorological Authority is required to make specification in regards to training, qualification and competencies. Regulation 12, that is supply, use, and quality management. This one, we changed the authority shall ensure. So this actually is just we rephrased the regulation to read. We changed the regulation to read the suppliers of meteorological information shall maintain close liaison with the users of meteorological information on matters affecting the provision of meteorological service for air navigation. This is in line with the ICAO Annex 2.2.1. Of the same regulation 12, the subsection 2, this was also rephrasing, which the authority to meteorological service provider shall establish and implement a properly organized quality management system. This is in line with the ICAO Annex 3 2.2.2. Regulation 16, meteorological watch offices. We treated S for meteorological services. So to read meteorological service provider shall organize. That is grammatical. Regulation 17 on volcano observatories. This is actually we phrased the regulations since it was not drafted in the legislative format. So the authority shall arrange with the designated volcano observatories to monitor any active or potentially active volcanoes, and when observing significant pre-eruption volcanic activity or a cessation thereof, B, a volcano eruption or cessation thereof, C, volcano ash in the atmosphere, and set this information as quickly as practicable to the associated area control center and meteorological watch offices. That's what was stated there. Then part 5, regulation 18. This is about space weather centers. This is a new regulation. This is a new regulation in regard to the amendment 80 of the Annex 3. So a designated service, a designated space weather center shall monitor and provide advisory information on space weather phenomena in Kenya by A, monitoring relevant ground-based airborne and space-based observation to detect and predict, when possible, the existence of space weather phenomena that has impact on the following areas. So this is in line with the to comply with or to adopt ICAO Annex 3 3.8.1. So that was done. All those is about space weather. And then we still have regulation 18, subregulation 2, which reads, designated space weather center shall maintain a 24-hour watch. This is to comply with the ICAO's Annex 3 standard 3.8.2. Still on regulation 18, a new regulation was introduced. Subsection 3, in case of interruption of the operation of space weather center, its function shall be carried out by another space weather centers or centers as may designated by Kenya. Still on regulation 18, okay. From regulation 7, there was a general provision whereby regulation 48, sorry, not regulation 48, 4 is missing. It is missing there. Regulation 48, subsection 5, there was a new insertion on the services to be provided by meteorological service provider. That is cumulonimbus, cloud, icing, and turbulence. This is actually was missing. It was new, and it was inserted. Regulation 47.5, still general provision. There was an insertion of add space weather advisory information relevant to the whole journey. These are services to be provided by the ILDO meteorological offices. Regulation 49 on flight documentation, which now became 50 after realignment. This on there was a new insertion, H, space weather advisory information relevant to the whole route. Also inserted there. Uh, 49, so K was added. And then we have the schedules. All the schedules for these regulations were realigned, amended to reflect the changes in the regulations. So, in particular, these changes in the third schedule, which was the general meteorological stations, was changed. So I don't need to take you through all the schedules and the tables. So because all of them were aligned to take into consideration the changes that were made within the regulations. Thank you. I want to confirm that we have received comments from the Director, Kenya Meteorological Department. Thank you very much, Met Department, for the written submission. In particular, Kenya Meteorological Department has provided comments on Regulation 11, 12, and 17. Regulation 11, this is on personnel training, qualification, and competencies. Kenya Met Department has written to request that we revert to World Meteorological Organization. This one, after a lengthy discussion with the RIGO experts, we were advised that it's not good to make reference to to World Meteorological Organization, and that's why we made reference to the Meteorological Authority, which I believe will be representing World Meteorological Organization. But we are still open. We can still engage further on this. And then Regulation 12. This is on the supply use and quality management of the information. We totally agree with the Meteorological Department, whereby they are suggesting that this regulation be as it is in the draft regulation. The meteorological service provider shall maintain close liaison with the users of meteorological information on matters affecting the provision of meteorological service. Then Regulation 17, Kenya Met Department is suggesting that actually what Kenya Met Department is suggesting is actually what is in the regulation, because we are saying they are suggesting that the authority shall arrange with the designated volcano observatories to monitor any active or potentially active volcanoes when observing. That one, I totally agree with the Kenya Met Department, because we need to adopt. So these changes will be taken into account. So with that, I take you back to the moderator, Mr. Kimani. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bwana Winston Geshero, for taking us through the draft civil aviation meteorological services for air navigation regulations 2021. You are reminded that in case of any questions or comments, that's in addition to what we have received in writing. You can also indicate your wish to take the floor and make a presentation. I can see there is Frederick Etemesi who has requested the floor. I will be inviting you. Kindly accept the invitation for purposes of making your presentation to this forum. Mr. Frederick Etemesi, kindly join in and let us have your comments and input on this particular forum. As we wait for Frederick Etemesi to join us, you are kindly requested to give us your feedback under the polls section of this chat of this forum that we are holding. On the right-hand side of your screen, there is a polls button. Let us have your feedback for purposes of ensuring that next time when we are conducting a public participation forum, the same receives due attention. Bwana Frederick Etemesi, you have the floor.
Thank you, Bwana Dennis. Please confirm, and Presenter Gisheru, please confirm I'm audible.
Yes, you're very audible. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. The draft regulations is actually better, improved compared to the previous one. And indeed, it has captured all what it takes in line with the Annex 3, Meteorological Service for air for international air navigation, which, of course, has been domesticated. We, as the Met Department of Met Fraternity, we are glad. However, following the regulation 11, the training of the meteorological personnel and the competence is guided under WMO Manual on 1083, and that's why we felt that we maintain what we had. Otherwise, if we confine ourselves to the Meteorological Authority, the authority may come up with its own requirement or competences or qualifications which might not be in line with the WMO for now. So we felt we should maintain the WMO. Though you are domesticating, but we still feel that should be maintained. Then under the regulation 12, this should be the responsibility of the meteorological service provider, and that's why we have said that the meteorological service provider shall maintain close liaison with the users of the meteorological information on matters.
Excuse me, Mr. Etemesi.
Affecting the provision of meteorological services for
Excuse me,
navigation,
Mr.
because we
Etemesi.
have the capacity.
Excuse me.
We have the capacity, and it's their responsibility.
Mr. Etemesi,
we
are having some challenges following you.
As Banabicheru has alluded to, under the same part 2, there's a typographical error. That one is not very, very important. It's just a matter of the grammar. Then
Excuse me, Mr. Etemesi.
We are talking about
we are having some challenges in getting you clearly. Excuse me. Sorry, I think I'll request Mr. Etemesi to join in. We were having some challenges in getting all the comments that he was making. So, Bwana Etemesi, kindly rejoin again and give us your presentation. We were having some challenges in getting all the comments to enable the panelists respond to your comments. Bwana Etemesi, kindly join in. As we wait for Bwana Etemesi to join in, please, we will also be, we are also live on Facebook. Be sure to follow us there. Bwana Etemesi is back. I trust that this time the internet will be much more stable. Go ahead, you have the floor.
Well, I don't know where had I reached before I went off. Regulation 12, which part remind me, please?
We had gotten to the point on there was a grammatical error that was to be corrected.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. Thereafter, now we go to Regulation 17. 17, you have Part A, the authority shall arrange with the designated volcano observatories to monitor inactive or potential active volcanoes, and when observing this Part A, there is Part B, Part C, and then we saying that and send this information as quickly as practicable to the associated SCC Met Watch Office, and the statement is hanging. So we are saying we add there volcanic ash advisory center. And then you are also referring to am I there?
Yes, we can hear you. We have only disabled the video so that the bandwidth can accommodate and we can get the audio clearly. So just go ahead.
Thank you. Just after adding volcanic ash advisory center, and then you are referring to regulation amended to legislate text, that is annexed to 3.6. What we are saying, or what the department is saying, we are not sure whether you are referring to Annex 2, because Met Services is defined or is other guided under Annex 3, 3.6 in reference to volcanic ash. So probably that was a typo. Thank you very much. So we hope that our proposals or our recommendation will be put on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bwana Frederick Etemesi, for those remarks. We will be having one of our panelists respond to this. That's Bwana Gishero. He can give the input, but he can give the comments and remarks on this. However, on the typographical errors and the missing words, we will be able to, we have noted the same, and we will be able to correct that as we prepare the final version of this regulation. Please also be reminded that you will have an opportunity to interrogate the final draft of the regulations, because all these comments that we are receiving will be put in a tabulated format and posted on the KCAA website, as well as shared with the participants, so that you can see how each and every comment or input was considered, and in case it was not taken on board, the rationale as to why it was not taken on board. So Bwana Winston Geshero, kindly have the floor for purposes of responding to Mr. Frederick Etemesi.
Thank you, Mr. Kimani. Thank you, Mr. Etemesi, for your presentation. Well, I acknowledge your presentation, but since there was a problem with the getting you in the first place, but I think what you are presenting is what was forwarded in written form. So I had initially indicated that all these comments will be considered. Those that are typos, for example, in regulations 17, instead of regulation 3, instead of annex 3, it was written annex 2. So that one will be changed to annex 3. As per training, this one will be considered, but we were advised by the legal experts that it's not always good to refer to make reference to international organizations, whereby we are supposed to domesticate the document, either WMO number 1083, WMO 49, number 49, all those that deals with the training, in particular for training for aeronautical forecasters and technologists. But this one will be looked into it afresh. As indicated by Mr. Kimani, these comments will be taken on board, and the new draft will be posted to, so that you can see your comments have been taken up on board. Thank you. I now hand over to Mr. Kimani for the moderator for further direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Geshero, for those comments. And Bwana Etemesi, I see you are still online. We will be able to consult further and have additional deliberations on the issue of the referencing to the international organizations that we have in our regulations. I see that you have a comment there. That will sound rather good. That is the WMO number 1083 or 49 on the training manual. Bwana Etemesi, I don't know whether you have any additional comments just before we let you go from the stage.
Thank you, Bwana Kimani. I also thank the presenter. On my side, I think I don't have any further question because I think what I had, you have exhausted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the contribution and for participating in this public participation forum on draft civil aviation regulations 2021, and in particular on the draft civil aviation meteorological services for air navigation regulations. For all of you who are following us on our Facebook page, you can also make your comments there or ask your questions there, and we will be able to respond on the same but we will be able to have our panelists respond to the questions or comments that you have. I can see it's exactly 4 p.m. We wish to switch into the next presentation in the next about 5 minutes. The procedure for the same, I will be posting a link that will enable you upon joining this. Upon clicking on the link, you will be able to be taken. You will be taken to the next presentation that will be being undertaken. That's the draft civil aviation units of measurements to be used in air and ground operations regulations 2021. The presentation will be made by our senior aeronautical information officer. That's Ms. Caroline Mbiti. We will be taking a 5 minutes break and coming back at 4:05 to enable us join the next session. Just before we go, please remember to give us your feedback under the polls tab. We will appreciate, and this will enable us better prepare for the next sessions that we will be having. The link is there. That's app.livestorm.co/KCAA. This will take you to the next session that we will be having. So asanteni sana for the input. See you in the next 5 minutes. Thank you.